success you had on offense at the end of last season belongs to Wilton Spade and can kind of explain the drop-off that you've had these first 3 games?
There's never success attained to one person. It's a team game, so I don't think it's attached to one from if you're not successful or attached to one if you are successful. It's a shared responsibility throughout the players and the coaches, and it's always been that way. So we never look at it as a one-person individual deal at all, to be honest with you. And we were all really successful in offense in the Cal game last year. Well, didn't play in a Cal game, so I think you're probably a little myopic in that view, looking at it that way, to be honest with you.
But you talked about tailoring your offense to your players. What are these players best suited for?
Oh, in a lot of situations, you're still learning some of the things, especially with the guys up front. And you get a lot of new players that haven't had you don't have a ton of tape to kind of look at them and say, what are they good at, what aren't they good at? Just because there's a lot of brand new faces that you're kind of fitting in there. You got a new face at receiver in Jalen, and what's Jalen great at, what's Jalen not great at. So you got a converted wide receiver playing running back. How does he fit in and what does he do? So you got to fit some different guys in there. But I think, there are times, and there were times on Saturday that I thought we were good on offense and we moved the ball. The real thing that I think we need to strive for is consistency, because we've proven at times in every game that we can move the ball down the field. But then there are times when we shoot ourselves in the foot. So those are the things that we have to correct, and that's what we do when we come in on Monday mornings and watch film with our guys and go over the proper corrections and then come out on the field and start to get ready for our next opponent.
Is this current roster not suited to run stuff that was similar to what you did at Oregon?
No, Oregon was a long time ago, so that's totally 2 different operations. So, again, another weird view, like that we're going to run what we did at Oregon. I didn't.
You had a lot of success.
That was 2012.
Right.
They had a lot of success with the single wing in the 1930s too. But football evolves and things evolve. So, maybe drop that take. To be honest with you, I never said when we came in here that we were going to run the offense that we when we were at Oregon. So I don't know why that continues to come up as a question. To be honest with you, so when we were at Oregon, we had really good players. Marcus Mariota was a Heisman Trophy winner. There's a lot of things that you tailor to what Marcus did. But Darren Thomas was a really good player. But our offense changed from Darren to Marcus because Darren did things that Marcus didn't do. Marcus did things that Darren didn't do. And when Jeremiah was there, it was a little bit different. It was a little bit more quarterback run, quarterback power, because you had a 225-pound kid that could really run. So I don't look back at our Oregon offense and study that tape and say, hey, we should do that here. I think we're always trying to figure out what our guys here do well and try to action with that. So, and again, it's consistency, because we have done it well. It's a consistency thing, not a, hey, let's go find another offense.
I guess maybe what I was asking, is there an offense that you prefer, that if you could get your ideal set of players that you would...
I would love to run the wishbone. I would love to run the ball every play for the entire game and never have to throw the football. But that's not going to happen. So, in the ideal world, I would love to run the wishbone.
You're
in the ideal world, because then you don't even have to put in a pass offense if you're really good at that. So,
when the team
that's not happening here. So that's not what we're going to run here, and that's not what we're going to do. But in the ideal world, if I was going to play Madden, I'd line up in the bone and run the ball every play.
When the team is doing well, what on those drives that are moving the ball, what
we just execute. You know what I mean? And we're not behind the stakes. And the interesting thing the other night is that we got behind the stakes and made plays. We had a 3rd and 21, and Dorian throws a dart to Devin, and then we convert on a 4th and 1. You know what I mean? So we got knocked back on a sack, and then Felt has a 42-yard run, and we get the ball out to midfield. So there's times when, even though I think that's where there's some growth. There are times when we went because of a penalty or because of a sack, went backwards, but then overcame that. So those are some positive things that you kind of build from that game against a good defensive football team. So, but again, it's just a consistency thing that I think we really need to strive on, is that, and that's what football's all about. There's a lot of plays that go on during the course of a game. You never score every single drive you have the ball, no matter who you are. You never go 3 and out every single time you have the ball, so you need to continue to strive and be really good on a consistent basis. And the teams that are good on a consistent basis are efficient, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to be more efficient as a group. So.
The offensive line has kind of struggled a little bit to start the season.
Sure.
How do you see to try to remedy
We're
that?
growing as a group. You know what I mean? There's not a waiver wire in college football where you can go out and say, hey, let's trade this out. I think our kids are growing, and they're learning from each experience that they have. We got a couple young kids in there, and they're really, it's on the job training for them. But you can see growth in those guys, from drive to drive actually. So that's a positive that we'll continue to build upon. And Justin does a really good job with those guys. So we're excited about when's our next opportunity. That's why guys are excited to get back out in the field today. And when do we get a chance to play football again?
Keyshawn Lucier South, is he back now?
He'll start practicing today, so we'll see where he is.
Is it going to be based on how his conditioning is as to when he can
It'll be
play?
based on everything, conditioning,
Okay.
now everything. So there's no set plan with him. It's just we'll see where he is. He started to do some things over the weekend on Saturday and Sunday, but we'll continue to see and monitor him as the week goes on.
You had a couple guys go down in that game. I think Jalen and Chris Barnes. How are they?
Yeah. I think they're banged up a little bit, but we'll see what we can get out of them today. That's what Anthony said to us.
But no long-term type
Not
situations?
that I know of. A couple kids that had to get x-rays for some hand things, but it didn't sound like things were for long-term. So, again, we'll see how the week kind of plays itself out. But today's the first day for us to actually get eyeballs on them and see what they are, because obviously Sunday's being an off day. So
You said that Dorian, you left him in because you had confidence in him. What gives you confidence in him right now?
we didn't leave him in. He's our starting quarterback.
Right.
You're the one who keeps calling for him, big guy. So we've got great confidence in Dorian. I thought he did a really nice job. You look at some of the balls he threw to Devin. You look at the ball he fit in there to Kyle Phillips. Some of the things he did extending plays with his feet, which I think is an aspect of his game that will continue to grow a little bit for us. But we're more than confident with what Dorian has done for us so far this season.
How do you continue to grow that aspect of Dorian running the ball while also balancing? You don't want to take a lot of
that's the
unnecessary
fine
hits?
line with any quarterback, no matter what level you're playing. There are design runs and mathematically that give you scheme advantages of, you get an extra blocker is what you get because the quarterback's carrying the ball. But however, if your quarterback were to get hurt, well then now the biggest thing you want in a quarterback is durability, but part of it is not subjecting him to types of hits. So we're not a team that runs quarterback counter or quarterback power where he's running up inside the tackles, where there's a lot of bodies coming inside and out, but there's still things that you can take advantage of with his athleticism, and I think he did that a little bit the other night, and we'll see if we can continue to grow that with him. But you also have to be mindful of, one of the best abilities of a quarterback is durability, the ability to get up and play the next snap, because if not, then you better have about 6 or 7 of them and be able to, kind of run an offense. Goes back to the original question of running the wishbone. Your quarterback's going to get hit right in the head a lot, So how many quarterbacks do you have? That's why in the ideal world, great. But in the ideal world, also no one can get hurt. So if no one can get hurt, then yeah, we could do a lot of different things. But that's a really good question of how do you balance that? How much does he run and how much, and I think he did a really good job in some of his decision making. You saw him get close to the sideline instead of lowering the shoulder. He's got the first down. Let's get out of bounds and let's play the next snap. Russell Wilson does a really good job of that in the NFL of, affecting people with his legs but not taking a solid shot. And I think Dorian's growing from that standpoint. So we'll see if that part of his game can expand, and that will help us, in terms of being a little bit more consistent on the offensive side.
Did you talk to him about that going into the
Well,
week?
yeah, that's part of the the game plan was that there were certain things we were going to do with him that he had the ability, if the defense tried to take the ball out of the running back's hands, well then the quarterback has to hurt you in the run game. So we did do that. That was part of the game plan going into last week. Now, obviously you face different defenses and kind of how people defend you, but if there's some aspects of the game where you don't think you're going to get a big hit on your quarterback, but he can affect and eat up some yards for you, then that's certainly will be part of the game plan moving forward, because he does have that ability to affect the game with his legs. Okay.